Hello everyone, this is an introductory video on GPIO pin on a Raspberry Pi. So GPIO stands for General Input Output. It can be used for turning simple things like turning an LED to controlling a motor or using ultrasonic sensor, Lidar sensor. If there is a sensor out there, there's a good chance GPIO is going to work with it. So we're going to explore how GPIO works and do a simple experiment with LED. So over here I have a Raspberry Pi 3B. This would work on a Raspberry Pi 4 as well. GPIO on Raspberry Pi 3B and 4 are exactly the same. You probably have seen GPIO on other devices, like this one's going to be a Pico with GPIO pin soldered in, or 8266 or ESP32 or Arduino for that matter. All of them have GPIOs. So when working with GPIO, one of the things you want to make sure is you don't want to plug in a device or a GPIO pin in when the Raspberry Pi or any other device is powered on. The reason is if you accidentally plug in the wrong device or wrong wire, you can mess things up. Let's look at the schematics for GPIO pins. You can see we have two 5 volt and two 3.3 volt power supply, tons of ground, and a lot of GPIO pins. These are 3.3 volt GPIO pins, so you don't want to plug anything that has 5 volt on it. So example of something that has 5 volt would be this ultrasonic sensor. This ultrasonic sensor takes in 5 volt, and the trigger and echo pins also use 5 volt for signals. In order to limit the flow of the voltage flow, you could build your own circuit like this one, or use a logic level converter, which will convert the logical flow from 5 volt to 3.3 and vice versa. There are other devices that use 3.3 volt, and these are safe to be directly plugged in, like this Lidar sensor, TF Luna, I believe that's the name of this. But for this example, we're going to make things a little simple and stick with a simple LED and turning it on and off using GPIO pins. Even when working with simple LEDs, you want to use resistors to make sure you don't burn out the LED. The power coming out of Raspberry Pi might be a little too high for the LED to handle, although it's just 3.3 volt, but you want to make sure you protect the LED using resistors. So in this setup, I'm using a resistor between the LED's ground and the shared ground of the breadboard, which is connected to the white wire, and we'll connect that one to the Raspberry Pi later. First, let's start with controlling a single LED and see how that goes. So here I have a setup and the code for controlling a single LED. In line 1, I'm importing GPIO LED from GPIO. It's built into your Pi, so you don't need to worry about it. Then I'm importing the sleep function from time. It just makes the Raspberry Pi wait for a second, which I'm explaining. Which I'm using in line 4.6. On line 3, I'm defining that the LED pin we're using is going to be pin 4, and the while loop just makes sure it spins, goes around and around. Now let's run this and see it in action. So you can see it blinking, waiting for 1 second, and blinking. It's going to continue because of the while loop. Now let's look at a little complicated setup. Code usually looks boring on screen, so I'm going to put a link down. So if you're interested in this code, you can just copy paste it or try to understand it. In between line 11 and 14, I'm just defining the pins being used. Then it's high, low to turn the LEDs on and off. Then we're doing a sleep and some small calculation over there to change the speed of the blink to make things interesting. Now let's see this in action. So you can see them blinking, turning off, blinking. It's a pretty nice pattern, and as the time progresses, it gets faster and faster. On line 23, I'm setting the value to 10, which means it's going to blink 10 times. Now let's change that to 5 and run it. It should blink only 5 times. Feel free to pull the code down, have a similar setup, and play with it. Let me know if you guys have any question. I have created a video earlier on using using DC motor with Raspberry Pi. It's a similar concept. Do watch it if you guys are interested. Let me know if you have any suggestions or would like me to make other videos. Thank you guys for watching.